Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today's video is going to be all about the Aurora Arfun 95mm Pro version. So this is an updated model, I guess you could say, to this guy. So this is the Aurora 90. So what is the difference between this one and this one? Well, the first clue is in the name. This is a 90mm frame and this is a 95mm frame. So what is better about that? Well, the original, it took a 1.9-inch propeller. It was the 5-blade propeller, still very powerful, but because the frame on this one's slightly bigger, we can now put a 2-inch gem fan propeller on there, which means that with a 2S battery we are going to get more power than this one, theoretically. This one had so much power in the first place, so I'm not sure that's what needed upgrading, but there you go, we all are power hungry, aren't we? So that's what we should get with this one. We've also got 20 amp BL Heli S all-in-one ESCs here, and then on the back we've also got a LED strip which wasn't on the original. These two LEDs here are connected to the DIN, but we've also got a voltage buzzer there and a lost model alarm. It's not set up for lost model alarm, so I will take you through that in the Betaflight setup. And it's also just set to have the LEDs show as blue, but I've gone in there and changed it so that they change colour when the quadcopter arms as well. Other than that, we have got the F3 Omnibus flight controller with a built-in on-screen display. It's Betaflight on-screen display, and of course it's got Betaflight installed on it as well. And then we have got the same DYS branded and also Aurora RC branded, so I guess they teamed up there. 1104 7500 kV motors. Now, I know what you might be thinking, what battery comes with it, because 20 amp ESCs there could take 3S, and you are right, but they have not provided a 3S with this one. It's a 500 milliamp 30C 2-cell battery. Now, if you remember my review of the original, that came with a 300 milliamp 25C battery, and the system was browning out all the time. I was getting the flip of death as the ESCs or flight controller or receiver isn't getting enough current and something fails and I get the flip of death. Now, I'm not too fond of what they have provided here because 30C, I still don't think it's enough. I think these batteries here, which is what I switched out with the last one, this is the battery that comes with the Aurora 100. It's an 80C battery, and with the last review of this one, I put this on there and I didn't get any more brownouts. So I'm going to say the same again. Disappointed with the battery with this one. Should just provide this one with the higher C rating to make sure we don't get any flips of death. But there you go, I'll try it with this battery and see how we get on. So we have a battery strap under here, and I don't like these battery straps because they don't have a feed through. Makes it very difficult for these batteries to stay in there tight. But with this model we have a JST connector, and I think a lot of people are going to be comparing this model or wanting to know which is best between this and the Eachine Lizard. So straight away, on paper, I think this one is going to have more punch and more power. Why? Well, this one with its battery is a whopping 35 grams lighter than this one with its battery. So that is a huge amount, considering, you know, they're relatively the same size. And this one is running lower kV motors, so 6,000 kV motors on a 3S. It doesn't always translate to more power because it's a 3S. This one, much lighter. We have a 2S, bigger props. This one is going to be more powerful. However, this one has got a better protected camera, a better camera in general. We've got a cloverleaf antenna, so it's not going to break up as much. This one will go up to 100 milliwatt as well, so more powerful. This one just 25 milliwatt, but other than that, very similar camera. This one, you can't change the angle on the camera, but we have the same buttons there. So the front button switches between PAL and NTSC, the back button, a long press takes you through the different bands, and then a short press through the 8 different channels, say 48 channel VTX there, and of course we have the sleeve dipole that just comes out of the top. And then this one is the FR Sky version, and it has a D8 receiver. Now, in order to get to the bind button, I had to remove these screws here because you can't see it, it's just there. But it is also available in Fly Sky and DSM-2, DSM-X as well, so that's pretty good. So as I say, I know this question is going to come up a lot, and that is which is the best, and that really does depend on your preference, because if being the best to you is being the most powerful, then it's going to be the Arfun 95 Pro. It is lighter, we've got higher kV motors, it's just going to have more power. But if you aren't too bothered about it being the absolute fastest micro that there is, and you want a great all-rounder, then the Eachine Lizard 95 is going to have better picture quality, slightly better camera. We have more power available coming out the camera and a cloverleaf antenna, and it's still protected. Runs off a 3S, yes, but that doesn't mean that it's going to have more power in this scenario because of the lower kV motors and the heavier model in general. But this one's still got a ton of power, so if you're not trying to win races and just want to have fun, this one's probably going to be the best for you. And I'm just going to throw another one into the mix just to confuse you even more, because, you know, this is one of my favorite builds. This is the Flex RC Pico X. Alright, it doesn't have an on-screen display, but it is a similar weight to this guy, and we have 6,500 kV motors, so it sits in the middle there. So power wise, I imagine it's going to go Lizard, the Pico X, and then this guy. So I already did an unboxing of this on the channel, but if you didn't see that video, I'll just show you some of the other things you get in the box. So we've got some spare cable ties, we have got 3 sets of props in total, which is cool. You're given some screws, and that is for putting the props on. You're given a spare Velcro strap and loads of these little Velcro pads, and the idea is you put those on the battery, but I never do that. More screws, and then we have got this little instruction manual as well that tells you all of the setup of the flight controller, and also the ports that you need as well. So that's for PPM receiver, and then on the back we have got it for serial RX or iBus, so Fly Sky. It shows you how to bind D8 mode, and also the DSM-2 DSM-X version. It looks like you have to put in the bind command. So here we are in the Betaflight configurator. You get this from the Chrome App Store. Now, I would always recommend to upgrade to the latest version of Betaflight, but I want to check out the stock version that has been installed on it. So I will take you through the things that you need to remember if you want to upgrade to the latest version. You can see that it says COM6 up there. I have got the quadcopter plugged into the computer via its USB port, so let's connect to that. And you can see there that I don't have the quadcopter on a level surface. But if you do put the quadcopter on a level surface, then you want to calibrate the accelerometer from there. You can see we have the VBAT coming through there, but that is just the voltage from the USB at the moment. I'm going to enable expert mode so we can just see some extra things. These are the ports. Now, I haven't changed anything here, but we have the VCP for the USB. UART1 is going to be for the telemetry of the on-screen display, and then UART3 is for our receiver. So into configuration here, and you can see we have a board alignment of 180 degrees, so if you want to upgrade Betaflight, you need to remember that. We have D-Shot 600 selected here for the ESC, and then motor start was turned on out of the box. I have turned that off, of course, because I like to have the motor spin when I arm. So if we scroll down here, we have the receiver selected to serial based for S-Bus. Of course, that will differ if you've got the DSM-2 DSM-X version, but I've got S-Bus selected here as well for that receiver. And then down here we have got the VBAT selected, so that does come through there, and I have reduced the warning cell voltage to 2.9, so this warning never goes off, and I've got the minimum cell voltage. I changed that to 3.3. This was just set to stock Betaflight settings there, but your alarm will go off a little bit early if you don't change it to that. Current meter, I don't know why it's selected, but they always select it on these models, but it doesn't have a current meter, so that doesn't do anything. And then the PID loop frequency and gyro update frequency, this is all just stuck here for an F3. We have LED strip enabled. All of this really we don't need to care about, except the on-screen display, because it does have Betaflight on-screen display as well. I have changed the craft name as well to AndyRC. So I'll just quickly go over the failsafe, but this is set to stock as drop. That's always the best thing to do when you have a failsafe. Just let it drop out of the sky rather than it trying to land and the props continuing to go, etc. It's just best to have it to drop. PID tuning, now this actually did impress me. They have changed these settings, so you can see here we've got a low P gain for the roll and pitch, and then they have also changed the I as well, and the D. And this is interesting, they've actually messed with the RC rate. Now usually I have this set at 1, but in this scenario I'm going to try their setup. They also have changed the super rate to 0.85. I think they kept the pitch at 0.7, but I've upped that to 0.8 because that's just my preference, and the yaw is the same as well. Everything else here is the same. So if we go into receiver, this was actually set up as AETR out of the box, which is no good for FR Sky, so I've changed that to TAER for the Tyrannus, and as you can see, this is working fine now. So you can't actually just bind it out of the box to a Tyrannus and it will work. You have to plug it up to the computer and change it here, but that is fine. You can see we don't have an RSSI channel here, which I'm always a fan of because that always draws too much current from these little micros there. So if we go into modes, nothing was set up whatsoever, so I've got it to arm on auxiliary 1. I've got then angle in the first position on aux 2. I then have got it acro, and then acro and air mode in the third position, and then I've got a beeper set on the auxiliary 3. That is for the lost model alarm. I don't know why they didn't set that up out of the box, but it just wasn't set. The ESCs were calibrated fine, so we don't need to worry about that. The on-screen display RSSI value was turned on, which is no good because this isn't a telemetry receiver. Crosshairs was turned on, I've turned that off. Artificial horizon was turned on, also turned that off. On time, I've moved. This was actually above here, so the difference between on time and fly time, so that is when you are idle and on the ground, and then fly time is how long you've been flying. I moved those to the same one here because we don't need a separate line for that, and I've also moved the voltage as well. That was up here somewhere in craft name, so this all appears at the bottom there. And then the LED strip I did change. This was just set to a color, but I've changed it to arm state, so it should be green when disarmed and then blue when armed. And that's pretty much it. I'll just go into the CLI and show you the version because it's not the latest version, 3.10. So the PIDs have changed since then, but like I say, I'm keeping this as stock just to show you. Then if I disconnect from here, we'll get some beeps there. And then if I select this is BL Heli here. I just want to show you that it will connect, and it's BL Heli S. So there you go, all of the direction is normal there, and we have version 16.5, and that is all of the setup that you need to see. Okay, let's go for a takeoff with this guy. Now, the wind hasn't really calmed down that much, but as we saw with the Pico X, these things, they can stand a little bit of a breeze. Let's go for a punch. Whoa, that is crazy. Yeah, the higher KV motors, and oh my goodness, you know what? This one, it's really hard to say which is the most powerful, but straight away when I'm seeing that, I want to say it's this one. That is nuts. That is crazy power. Look at that. Like I say, it's still windy. but it just flies like there's no wind at all. And this one's quiet as well. Come on, wind, give me a break. They cut the grass out here finally. I am pleased about that. Oh, I like it. It feels nimble. I'm not hearing any fluttering either. It's difficult to hear anything, but I'm not hearing any fluttering. So maybe that stock tune's alright, but we'll see when I do some FPV with it. Look at the angle I'm having to put in to correct for that wind. That's so quiet. To be careful doing those because it just disappears to a little speck. Nice backflip. Wish this weather would give me a break, man. We can get some close-ish flips in. Not really. Rolls, I guess you would say. Look at all these leaves being blown off the trees. Like it's autumn or something. Nope, not autumn. June. Well, I don't seem to get any brownouts. So already a thumbs up from the first one, but that was just the battery it came with. So it seems like they fixed that. And these bigger props seems to give it more power. Amazing. Right, let's go in for a landing then. Fight against the wind. Okay, so a 3S in the interest of science. I'm not sure I recommend this, but let's try it anyway. So I'm gonna arm it, and then I'm just gonna try a couple of clicks of throttle because it's crazy on a 2S, so who knows what's gonna happen on a 3S. So arm it, tiny bit of throttle, couple of clicks, 3 clicks, and it's in the air. It flies, but oh my goodness. I can hear a little bit of a flutter, so already I think some of the P gain is too high. That is crazy. Hovering on what? Just 3 clicks of throttle, but it's flying. I'm not sure for how long. And it disappears. It does fly on a 3S. I'm having to be so careful with the throttle though. And it needs the PIS adjusting. But it does fly in a 3S. And it's not exploded yet. I do say yet. Not sure it's benefiting from a 3S, honestly. It's crazy on a 2S. It's crazy on a 3S. Just a great model. I think I need to reduce those gains a little bit. Otherwise, I think it's going to overheat. But it does take a 3S. There it goes, disappears. Oh man. This is a great model. I think I want to reduce those gains a little bit though, before I do some FPV on a 3S. But it's taking it. Come in for a landing. Let's feel how warm these motors are. Lukewarm, so even though the tune is not right for a 3S, motors feel fine. thumbs up. So here is some DVR footage taken with my Fat Shark Dominator HD3s. This is with the stock 2-cell 30C battery, so you can see there in the bottom left hand corner it's saying 7.5, 7.6 volts. And I should state straight away that when I was doing the line of sight flight, I didn't get any brownouts at all, but when I did the FPV flight, I did manage to push the system into a brownout. It wasn't as bad as the original, which confirms that 30C is not quite enough for this model, and I will reiterate that you should get a higher C battery, such as the one that comes with the Eachine Aurora 100. It's an 80C 2-cell battery, and with the original Arfun I didn't get any brownouts with that, and I would expect the same with this. Just needs a higher C battery. And I should say it was about the 2-minute mark before I started getting any brownouts, aka flip of death. People call it the flip of death, but it's just either ESC's resetting or the flight controller resetting because there's not enough current getting to it. So there you go, you can see there, little flip of death, but it wasn't as long as the original. So the Arfun 90, it would flip of death to the point where it would crash. This one, just a little blip, but it's still not good enough, so I would get one of those 80C Eachine Aurora batteries for this one. It's 450 milliamp, and you won't get any brownouts. So for me personally, I think with the fact that we have a lower camera quality with this, we have more breakups. You can see lines across the screen where we have got noise coming through. This model is definitely the most powerful out of all of these bind and fly micros, even on a 2S. But then you got to ask yourself, the Eachine Lizard, it's got great power and performance. It's got a better quality camera, better reception because it's got that cloverleaf antenna, and there's less noise coming through there. Actually, a little bit more vibration. I noticed there wasn't really any vibration on this model. So again, you've got to weigh up the pros and cons as we get another slight flip of death there at the 3-minute mark. On the stock battery, I was getting above a 4-minute flight time, and I guess that is because it weighs less, and that's why we've got more power as well. Really what we need is the camera from the Eachine Lizard on this, and maybe a protector, and then we've got the best of both worlds. Now, as I'm coming up to the 4-minute mark here, I'm just sort of flying it around me to see when the battery will cut out, and as I say, it went over 4 minutes. But I think for me, I prefer the Lizard with the better camera quality. Yep, not as much power, but, you know, it's a compromise. You know, if you want the most powerful quadcopter that is a micro class, then get this one for sure. It's going to be quicker, and it'll take a 3S, and it's just bonkers on there. But it needs different PIDs, so I even lowered the PIDs for the 3S FPV flight that you're about to see, and it was still juddering, so it needs a little bit of work on that, but it will take a 3S, and it's crazy power. But there you go, that is my review of the Arfun 95 Pro. I'll put a link in the description if you wish to get one. I'll leave you with some flying on the 3S battery. So as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.